everyone. Welcome back to Art Therapy with MindSoulMeditations. Before we get started, let's take a moment to take a deep breath and let it out slowly. And another one. In today's episode, we have a special guest. We'll be hearing from Amira Zaidi. Amira is a graphic designer and content creator that covers AI. She's been featured on Midjourney version 6, and Bing has also featured 2 of her artworks on their page. She works as a creative partner with companies such as Remix, Leonardo, FreePic, and Pixverse, as well as others. Amira is going to share with us how self-care matters to her and share some of her art with us. So let's take a listen.
Hello everyone, I'm Amira, and today I want to talk about what self-care means to me and how creating art, including AI art, helps me with my self-care routine. So for me, self-care is about taking care of my mind, body, and especially my emotions. It's about doing things that makes me feel good and help me stay balanced. Sometimes that means taking a walk, reading a book, maybe enjoying a movie, or just taking a break from my busy day to relax. So in other words, it's about finding what makes me feel happy and do it. Creating art is a big part of my self-care. As a graphic designer, I work a lot with digital art, but I also love exploring AI art because using AI to create let me express my thoughts and feelings in new and exciting ways. When I'm making art, I get so focused that I forget about my worries. It's like a form of meditation that helps me relax and feel calm. Because as someone who doesn't like to talk about what I've faced in the past, what I've lost, or what has hurt me, I can express all these feelings through art. Because before AI art, I didn't know how to get all these negative feelings out of me. But now, I'm so happy that AI is here because it has helped me to bring out those past memories in a beautiful way. Also, making art helps me to connect with myself. It lets me play with new ideas and express emotions that are hard to put into words. This creative process is very healing and helps me deal with my feelings in a healthy way. Plus, seeing the finished artwork gives me a sense of accomplishment and makes me feel proud. Art also brings fun and exploration to my life. It encourages me to try new things and not be afraid of making mistakes. This playful aspect of art is very refreshing and reminds me to be patient and kind to myself, which is important for self-care. So, in a busy world, having a creative outlet like art is very valuable. It gives me a break from my daily routine and helps me recharge. For me, creating art is not just a hobby, it's a key part of my self-care that keeps me happy. So thank you for listening, and I hope you can find a creative activity that brings you joy and helps you take care of yourself. Remember, self-care is important for everyone. So take care of yourselves and keep creating.
So for today's art, I thought we would try a different look and feel for the art. We're going to try risograph prints. So risograph prints are also called riso prints or riso art, and they're a type of print that's created using a printing machine that's similar to a photocopier, but produces high quality prints with a really unique aesthetic. So some of the characteristics that fall within risograph prints are sort of stencil-based printing, limited color palette, layered colors. So we'll see some of that when we're creating our art where multiple colors might overlap one another, and imperfections and textures to the overall artwork. So our prompt for today is a vibrant risograph print of a woman meditating on the beach. Synesthetic energy flow surrounds her, so I'm kind of looking to capture sort of like a Reiki energy sort of feel around her, with organic textures in sage, light coral, and light amber tones. And you, of course, can change up these colors. So I want energy vibrations to cause some distortion to the final output. And I want the background to be a mix of patterns and textures with lots of negative space around all the elements. So let's say I've got it set to 16 by 9 for a landscape image. And let's try that out and see how that looks. So while that's running, I think I'm going to do a second one. And we'll do... I think I want to do a woman soaking in the tub. So I'll run that and we can take a look at our first one. So let's take a closer look at these ones. So you can see here the uniqueness to this type of image. So we have a lot of the colors overlapping, like I had mentioned earlier with the different layering. It's a lot more simplistic. I've got sort of this energy flow going on around her, which we can see really well in that first image. I actually really like the circular energy flow. We've got a little bit of dotting there. In the bottom left corner, I have sort of like ripples coming out as though she were maybe sitting in water. Overall, these are pretty nice. I think the first one in the top left is my favorite out of the set. But let's see what else we get. So I think I'm really liking the second set here. I didn't necessarily get the tub in all of it, but let's take a closer look. So one thing I note here is that when I pasted the prompt, I had actually had a little bit of different text in it because I think I had added sheet music in one of my prompts that I was using. I didn't notice that I had carried that over, so we can actually see some sheet music appearing in some of these, which is sort of an interesting touch. So I do like all of these. The first one, again, really stands out to me, although it doesn't look like she's in a tub. It looks more like she's in maybe a pond or a lagoon. The second one in the top right, she's definitely in the tub. The wine glass is kind of sitting a little strangely, but it's pretty neat. The bottom left corner one, I do like this one because while the tub looks a little bit odd, it could be, you know, some kind of a fancy tub. I do like the vintage quality to this one. I think I'm going to go back and fix it to take out the sheet music because I didn't intend to put that in. I'm going to change that sheet music to organic elements. So if you're not fond of the colors, you can also change them up. So just for the fun, I'm going to change this to pink. I think I'm going to keep the sage. And I'm going to go with baby blue. So all of these are currently being run in version 6. So we can give it a try and see what we get from Niji as well. So I might grab just the first prompt and just see what kind of results Niji gives. And I'm also going to try one more thing. We haven't worked too much with weird, so I'm going to try adding --W for weird and 5. So I'm going to try adding some weirdness and see what we get with that. And I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to add chaos. So to add chaos, you can either do -- and type out the word chaos, or just --C. And then you can apply the value. And I'm just going to try a value of 10. So that's quite a few that we've run. So let's go down and see what we've got here. So here, the first one we have our woman in the tub with the change in the colors. These are pretty funky. So let's take a closer look. Yeah, I really like these. We've got one of these unusually oval, small, tiny tubs here, but that's okay. Kind of like the one in the bottom right. And the very first one I also really like. It's hard to see her champagne glass, but she definitely looks like she's having a great time relaxing there. So those are really cool. Let's see what else we have. So this one here is in Niji, so we've got a different look to it. So let's take a look at those. So these are actually really interesting. Kind of feel a bit like some of them look a bit patchwork. It's got some really great textures. I definitely see a lot more energy flow going on in these ones. They're all pretty interesting. The female figure came out more as a silhouette, but I'm okay with that too. So all in all, these are all kind of interesting. And I probably will keep, I'm not even sure, I might keep them all. So as we can see, Niji really gave us a different look. So if this style appeals to you, you can keep working with any of these. So all 4 of them do definitely radiate a lot of energy, but they do have a little bit of difference to them in the patchwork styling. So you can grab one of those and keep evolving it and trying additional versions of it or modifying the prompt to make more. I think of them all, the one in the bottom right where she's sitting by the ocean, it looks like there's seashells or stones on the beach with her. I really like that one quite a bit. I really get a sense that she's reconnecting with nature. I think all of them really give a sense that you're reconnecting with nature, which is really important with self-care. So let's see what else we have. So in this next one, we added some weirdness. So let's take a look at that with some weirdness added. Now keep in mind that weirdness isn't necessarily always going to be consistent. It's going to give you a different look in each one or some kind of variation on it. Weirdness is not a very consistent method of getting a specific look, but what it can do is really give you something outside the box that you may not have considered. And if you do see something that you like, you can run variations on it and evolve it further. So these also all look pretty neat. I particularly like the 2 on the left here. The one on the bottom left in particular seems really high energy, like she's connecting to the universe, and I really like that about that imagery. Let's see what else we got with chaos. So let's take a look at how chaos impacted our images. So to be honest, I think I like the impact of chaos in the images more so than weirdness. I think this has a lot more interesting effect that's been applied to the overall prompt. The one in the top right, I don't know, she kind of looks like her body's on backwards, so that one's a bit problematic. I might need to do variations if I wanted to keep that one, but I think I'm more drawn to the first one, the third one, and the final one are really quite interesting. Now, I didn't specify that she should be facing the camera, so that's part of the reason why we have her back to us in most of these images. So I'd like to try them with some style references. Might try both. One thing to keep in mind is that if you've applied weirdness does not work with a style reference. I'm not actually sure if chaos works with a style reference, so I'm going to give that a try right now. Go random and submit. So it appears that we can use chaos with a style reference. So that's really great to know. so chaos can be incorporated within your prompt. Let's take a look and see how these would look at a different aspect ratio. So I'm going to try changing it to square and to aspect ratio 4:5. So I'm going to leave the chaos and I'm going to change the aspect ratio here. So for square, we can do 1:1, or you can actually remove the entire aspect ratio completely and it'll default to square. So submit that and we'll try it again in 4:5. And let's do the woman in the tub, the same thing. We'll try it in different aspect ratios. Here we have the woman meditating on the beach in a square aspect ratio, so we can take a look at those. So I do like them, but we do have the chaos applied here, so we've lost some of the risograph kind of look to it. So I might want to remove that. And we'll look at the ones at aspect ratio 4:5. So I really, really like the double exposure one at the top. That one's really neat. And I like the one in the bottom right. The one in the bottom left, her neck's a little too long, so I'm not too fond of that one. And there's a little bit too much chaos in the one in the top right. So two of these I think are definitely winners. So I might try running these without any chaos to get the effect that I want. So here we have the ones with the woman in the tub. These are just straight up risograph style. We can look at the square ones. I think overall these are quite a nice effect. And if we compare the different aspect ratios, you can see how it really impacts the layout of the image and the final result that we get. Let's take a look at the aspect ratio 4:5. So we got a little bit of a futuristic looking one here. Some double exposure. So I really like this picture that came up with the double exposure, but I want to try running it without chaos, but at the same time maintain the style a little bit. So I'm going to try running a variation on it. And what I'm going to do is just remove the chaos and try running another version. So I'm going to submit and we'll see what we get for an output. But what I may also try doing is doing the woman in a tub or a similar type setting, but using that double exposure. What I'm hoping to get is both the double exposure and sort of a risograph kind of effect blended together. So let's take a look at what we got. So I removed the chaos. We still see a little bit of it happening in here because I did just re-roll it. So I might run it one more time just because it'll dilute a little bit of the chaos a bit more. But I do see some interesting stuff going on. I like the double outline of the woman's head in the top left. I do like some of the energy, but I kind of feel like there's a watercolor wash over my image, and that's not really the effect that I want. So I have two choices. I can try rerunning it again, or I can try grabbing that prompt and running it fresh. So because the double exposure was an element that I was hoping to maintain, I'm probably going to try rerunning it again, and I'll do a variation again on the first one. And submit. So I actually have a third option, aside from just running it again and making variations or rerunning the prompt. What I can also do is I can actually add double exposure and run it fresh and include double exposure as part of what I want in my prompt. So this again is another example of where AI sort of inspired me to try something a little bit different. So I'm going to take a look at the prompt here. And I'm just going to add a double exposure of small island on a lake. Let's see what that gives us. So I ran a variation on the one before, and it actually looks like it gave me what I'm looking for. So let's take a look at those. So here I have way more of the risograph print, much less of the watercolor, although there is a slight element of watercolor, but it's very close to what risograph would give me. I have my double exposure effect. All in all, this is actually looking pretty neat, and I like these quite a bit. So some of them almost seem to have almost a triple exposure. For example, the one in the bottom left, I have the island scene in the back. I have the darker shape of the woman, and I also have an orange silhouette of a woman in the back there as well. I think it's really important to try doing the images in different aspect ratios because the composition of the image is really going to change depending on what aspect ratio you're working on. So depending on what you want to create, that's actually a really important factor that may impact your final output. For example, if you're looking for landscapes, you may not want it to be in a portrait style layout. You may want to go for something wider. When you're looking to create images with people in them, the landscapes, depending on the position of the character, can sometimes be cut off or seem too short and stunted or not laid out properly, or it cuts off how much of the body you really get to see. Heads get cut off, legs get cut off. So taller aspect ratio images will give you more of the figure of the character that you're putting into your artwork. Today's affirmation is, I nurture my mind, body, and soul through self-care practices. Thank you for joining me for another day of art therapy. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope you had a chance to create some really amazing art. Make sure to join me again tomorrow, and I really look forward to seeing you there.